cat looks down upon a man, and a dog looks up to a man, but a pig will look a man in the eye and see his equal. Winston Churchill. They're about to reset the system. Please keep your friends and family aware. Like, subscribe, share these videos. Please remember that I am not a financial advisor.
It has arrived. We are in it.
We are witnessing a paradigm shift.
Crypto and fintech and banking are all converging here, and blockchain is the infrastructure of the future. So we'll all be talking about this for a long time to come, I expect.
The financial system is being rewired. Unlike any other time in history, the public has access to investments before the banks do.
So we do have a new Bretton Woods moment in that sense. Does it mean we have to create new institutions? I actually, not because I'm in one of them, this is not self-preservation. I see these institutions having evolved with time, doing what needs to be done today to protect the world economy from significant harm. If we didn't exist, if we didn't have the World Bank, the IMF, and other institutions, we have to be honest, the world would have been in recession that would have gotten deeper into depression. So we would have had yet another Great Depression.
Bretton Woods in 1947 was a time where the globe ironed out policies that governed the global economy and declared the dollar as the world reserve currency.
The US dollar may be the standard currency for cash, but China is aiming to make digital yuan the new dominant medium. South Korea needs to develop strategies on what position the country will take in the new monetary era.
There's going to be a new Bretton Woods. China has already rolled out their digital currencies while others are following their lead. Having a reserve currency is a privilege. Digital currencies are not tied to a central bank or government. There can be a fair system with digital currencies.
I think for people who are invested in Bitcoin, it's exciting news. For people who are looking at the rest of the world, it's actually a little bit scary news, because I think there are reasons why the price of Bitcoin is rising so fast and why companies are replacing, dollar holdings with Bitcoin holdings. So just this morning, Christine, I looked at the money supply in the United States, and here's some shocking news that I'll bet you might have an instinct on, but you may not know these numbers. So did you know that the money supply in the United States since the coronavirus pandemic started is up 25%? And once this second round of stimulus is done here in the next few days, the money supply will be up 40% versus 12 months ago. That's crazy, right? Because if you think about it, the way inflation works is the more of an asset you have, the less valuable it is, which means if you have 40% more dollars, the dollars are worth a lot less than they were a year ago. And that would explain why a lot of institutions want to have Bitcoin sitting in their treasury, because it's a more stable source of value over the long haul, potentially.
Markets are supposed to correct assets to fair value. Central banks intervene with stimulus and prevent the markets from correcting. This causes wealth gap, zombie businesses, banks. We're at a point where stimulus is ineffective.
A lot of it, after the global financial crisis, we built more resilient banking system, but that is not enough. We have non-banking institutions that have been left off the hook. And of course, we had this whole holistic view of resilience for a world that is going to be more shock prone because it is a faster changing world.
More shock prone due to leverage fueled by easy money or QE.
Transform, recover, and transform the economy for the future, not replicate the economy of yesterday.
The BOK is planning to test the operation of a central bank digital currency, also known as CBDC, in a limited environment this year to explore the potential use of a digital currency.
During the last bull run, the chaos came from South Korean exchanges.
And prevent divergence between rich and poor people, rich and poor countries. Each and every institution has to find its place vis-a-vis these priorities and deliver its utmost best to address them. And for me, that is our new Bretton Woods moment, to step up to what is expected from us in this crisis.
There will be a disorderly crisis where a new Bretton Woods takes place to govern a global economy and unroll digital currencies.
That's what I would tell you, though, which I think is the most important issue about XRP, and that is there is a difference, okay? There's a difference between the way in which an asset is distributed and the nature of the asset at a given moment in time. And I think the issue in Ripple that gets lost in all of the discussion is whatever happened in the original distribution of XRP tokens, 10 years ago, and whether that was or wasn't an unregistered securities offering, that's what the courts will decide. That's a different question from whether XRP today is a security. And the SEC itself has said that assets can change their nature over time as they achieve utility and as they achieve decentralization. So if I had to make a prediction, I'll just make a quick prediction, and that is that there is a settlement to be done here somewhere, and the settlement has to do with the distribution of the tokens so that existing token holders can continue to trade them and find value in them the way that they do.
This is a quote from Wikipedia. The chief features of the Bretton Woods system were an obligation for each country to adopt a monetary policy that maintained its external exchange rate within 1% by tying its currency to gold, and the ability of the International Monetary Fund to bridge temporary imbalances of payments.
We're moving into a world where value, money, payments is moving like information already does on the internet. And that's a big deal because until now, the world is sort of a lot of siloed payment networks, country by country, or Visa to M-Pesa. They don't talk to each other. And because they don't talk to each other, everybody suffers, from the poorest working class, underbanked consumer, to the thriving small business, to the biggest global corporation. They're all paying a very steep price because our world of money and payments is not interoperating, is not working as one.
Transformation from cash to digital currency could raise GDP by as much as 3%. Digitalization of currency would accelerate currency circulation and reduce maintenance costs. It would also be an efficient way to realize negative interest rates, overall enhancing the government's monetary management.
Digital currencies are a new tool for central banks. This is going to boost productivity and GDP, which translates to central banks inflating even more.
Well, it's really hard to know because crypto is interestingly nonpartisan. Its biggest fans include both Democrats and Republicans, and its biggest opponents include both Democrats and Republicans. And so I think the better predictor is not Biden versus Trump. The better predictor is ultimately who has the strongest thesis for this stuff. And as I've said many times before, my thesis is that there is a thing about decentralization. It is both a freer technology and it is also a more sound money strategy than central bank governed money printing approaches, which is kind of what we've done historically. Obviously, there's some people coming into the Biden administration who agree with that. If it is true that Michael Barr is my successor at the OCC, I think he's likely to have more of a thesis similar to mine on this. He has a background having spent some time on the Ripple advisory board, for example. And on the other hand, Secretary Yellen has said some relatively skeptical things about the asset class. So I don't think it's a partisan issue. I think it's more about who's a tech adopter and who's an innovator versus who isn't.
How do we get from one CBDC to the next? There is a bridge asset that is not tied to a government or central bank. It's backed by math.
Construction. Now we are in a similar kind of Bretton Woods moment. We have to reconstruct, we have to rebuild from the hit of COVID-19. And at the same time, we have to transform our economies to be greener, to be fairer, actually to be digital everywhere. So everybody has access to this digital transformation. Actually to be digital everywhere. So everybody has access to this digital transformation.
They have ruined the global economy and they're planning a great reset to a digital economy where everyone is tracked, traced, and paying taxes on every transaction. They create the money and they will partition it to the goals of their agenda. You are the master of your unspoken words. but a slave to the words you have spoken. Winston Churchill. Thank you for watching, liking, and subscribing. If you enjoy my work and wish to support my channel, please consider joining my Patreon. I offer exclusive content and research on other coins. Remember to hit the bell.